A number of years ago, a term came along that has now become a ubiquitous buzzword in the world of selling, which is solution selling. I cannot tell you how many people say, oh yeah, I use solution selling, or my focus is to be a solution salesperson. But the reality is that solution selling is actually a very specific art form. And without using a couple of key steps, you're really not doing what we call solution selling. It's really just, as they say, putting lipstick on a pig, taking what people have been doing for many years and then calling it something else. In this video, I'm going to show you 7 solution selling tips for the new world. Check it out. Number 1, lead with insight. Your prospects are weary. They are busy. They don't have time to just waste their time with any salesperson. What they want is someone who can demonstrate insight, who shows that they bring value to their business or to their life. That's why we need to lead our interactions with insight. Of course, the goal is to get them talking and to get them chatting. But in order to get there, we need to lead with more than just something like, hey, I'd love to learn more about your business so that way we can talk about what we do, blah, 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 right? Your prospect is immediately turned off by that. We must lead with insight in order to get to a solution selling conversation. Number 2, know as much as you can about them before. So many salespeople go into selling situations completely blind. It reminds me of the horses that you used to see in the city just walking down the street, right? And they have those blinders on that are keeping them from seeing all the stuff that's really going on. That's how most salespeople sell. They walk into a selling situation and there's so much data or research or information they could get on the prospect before the meeting or before the conversation, but they never take the time to really understand what's going on as much as they possibly can from that outside view. Because the more you can come in with that information, demonstrating that you know exactly who they are, what they're dealing with, what's going on in their world, the more likely they are to open up and to start talking. Number 3, get them talking ASAP. Once you've demonstrated insight, you've shown them that you know who they are, now it's time to switch gears and go from you doing the talking to getting them talking. And this is really that critical transition in any selling situation where you've got to break down that wall and then get them talking. And once they start talking, you've got to dig to really understand what's going on in their world. Number 4, don't be quick to solve. This is really undoing most of what we've been taught our entire lives, right? Think of when you were in kindergarten and the teacher said, what's 1 + 1? Of course, the precocious kid puts up their hand and says 2. That kid gets a gold star. The quicker they could answer the question, the quicker they got the gold star. And that was what we learned all throughout education and even well into our careers. Yet in sales, the person who is quick to answer is actually missing out on so much valuable information coming from the prospect. Don't be quick to solve. Don't be quick to answer. Instead, dig deeper. Get as deep as you can before you get into that solve or presentation mode. Most salespeople are presenting way too early, so don't be quick to solve. Number 5, dig very, very, very deep. I've already talked about this a bit because it's so important. Great salespeople can go so much deeper in the conversation. So the prospect says, oh yeah, we've been dealing with this challenge. Most salespeople say, oh, well, we can help you with this, that, and this and that. But a great salesperson says, help me understand what you mean by that challenge. Or tell me more, unpack that for me. The deeper you go, the more layers of the onion that you can pull back to get to the core issue, the more likely you are to demonstrate that you are the right person to solve their challenges. Number 6, spontaneous questions are everything. I already just gave you a hint when I was talking about digging deeply about spontaneous questions. Spontaneous questions are just little questions that aren't built into your script necessarily, but are just quick things that are basically unpacking what they've said, getting to that center of the onion. And so the prospect starts telling you something and you say, interesting. Help me understand why you say that. Or tell me a little bit more about that. Or what do you think is going on there? Just going deeper and deeper, just like a psychiatrist or a doctor trying to get to the core issue. Number 7, close for next steps, not the sale. Bottom and average performing salespeople are going for the sale. They're trying to get some really just like definitive close at the end of the conversation. But top performers, particularly in larger transaction size sales, aren't necessarily going for the close of the sale. Instead, they're just closing for next steps. Great salespeople know that if you're keeping the sales on track with clear next steps, you're going to hold that sale together. Today's sales are much more complex. There are more decision makers. There are more people involved in that conversation. So instead of trying to go for some kung fu close at the end, instead what you want to do is just make sure you're holding everything together with clear and scheduled next steps. That's how we keep things on track rather than going for some hardcore close, which then tends to cause the prospect to say, well, you know what, let me get back to you in a couple of weeks, and now the sale has already fallen off track. So there are 7 solution selling tips for the new world. And if you enjoyed this video, then I have an awesome free training on the data-driven approach to closing more sales in today's marketplace. Just click right here to get registered instantly. Seriously, just click right here. This is an in-depth training that will help you close more sales at higher prices, all while generating more meetings. Also, if you got some value, please like this video below on YouTube and be sure to subscribe to my channel by clicking my face that should be right about here to get access to a new video just like this one each week.